Mr. Ronnie Jones is chairman of the, I bit my tongue. Chairman of the State Gaming Control Board. Mr. Ronnie, welcome back to Keel. Okay, are all of the Shreveport-Bossier casinos going to open on Monday? What do you know? What can you tell us?
I do not know. I suspect that every casino likely will not open Monday morning, but it's possible. They certainly have the ability to do so under the board orders and the law. They're going to be permitted to open. They'll have to file a plan this week with state police and hit some benchmarks. Once that plan is approved, they'll be authorized to open.
What are the benchmarks?
It's the patron screening, the protection, the social distancing, health, safety, and sanitation, capacity limits on percentage of devices, gaming devices, and patrons on the floor. So it's a long list that the board will incorporate into an order that we will put out this week.
The one that jumped out from your list right there is, and it pertains, some people in this room like a little blackjack, no poker because you're not going to play. Patron screening. What does that mean?
Yes. That means that when a customer comes to the gaming floor, they'll first have their temperature taken in a non-invasive way. They'll be asked a series of questions that are based on the CDC guidelines about symptoms of the virus, and they'll be offered a mask and encouraged to wear the mask. They won't be required to wear the mask, but they will be offered to wear the mask. If the temperature is a little elevated, or if they have an answer to the question that perhaps puts them at risk, they'll be taken aside and discreetly rescreened and given the opportunity to have their temperature taken again. So it's a process that each property is going to have to articulate in their plan and carry out for everybody who goes onto the gaming floor.
You see the sign at businesses all the time: no shirt, no shoes, no service. Can they require a mask? Can they require me to wear a mask if they want to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Every property can be more restrictive than what the board requires.
Okay, does the capacity limit include the employees? Everybody wants to know that.
Yes, that's inclusive of employees. So 25% of occupancy in that gaming space. When you think about a big property like Margaritaville, that gaming space is all on one floor. So it's 25% of the occupancy of that floor to include all employees. Now, if you talk about a boat that has 3 levels, that's going to be 25% on each of those levels.
So they have to follow me. If I move from floor 1 to floor 2, they're going to count me leaving floor 1 and going on to floor 2.
They're going to have to fit. There's some unanswered questions that we're going to have to work through. But what we don't want to happen is what happened when there was a 250 cap on the casinos back before we moved into the stay-at-home order, because we ended up with people standing in line waiting to get on the gaming floor shoulder to shoulder. There was no social distancing. So we want to try and prevent that if we can. And, state police is going to be reasonable in how they permit casinos to enforce these guidelines. There has to be a little latitude here. But, we're all working through the same problems and the same issues.
Is there concern on your part? Is there concern on everybody's part? I would think that because the capacity limit is a combination of patrons and employees, that fewer people will be brought back to work.
That is certainly a possibility. And in our gaming task force meeting last week, the representative Casino Association said at 25%, it's possible that some properties may not be able to open at that limit. Some may have to wait till it's 50% or fully open, because it's the overhead for casino property is much greater than it is, say, for a restaurant, because the state police has specific requirements with respect to things like surveillance and security, and now with the heightened sanitation and patron screening, it's going to be a lot more employees that are required. So what he told us was, a casino may lose less money by staying closed than if they try and operate at 25% capacity.
That was
and
going
no
to
requirement.
Pardon me. That was going to be my point. I have heard from a number of restaurant owners, one of whom her quote was, 25% capacity is giving me permission to go broke. Is that the view of a lot of casino gaming companies right now?
I don't think it's the view of a lot. I think it's the view of some. and we're respectful of that. I think the governor is trying to be measured and deliberate in reopening commerce, and I think he's intentionally cautious because we have to weigh the risk against the benefits. We're going to get some casinos open, and some people are going to go back to work, and hopefully in 21 days we'll be able to get everybody back to work. But we have to start somewhere, and I think this is an important start. And we're going to be in business come Monday at some properties.
Let's talk about a couple of other things. Video poker, the businesses that have video poker machines, are they going to be allowed to open those machines back up on a limited capacity on Monday as well?
The video poker industry will be subject to the same guidelines that the governor talked about yesterday. Same as restaurants, same as casinos. So if you have a truck stop that has 50 video gaming devices, they're subject to the 25% capacity limit on customers and the 25% device limit that's been put in place. So they're gonna follow the same rules. They're gonna be subject to the same rules and restrictions that casinos and restaurants are.
Okay, Harrah's Louisiana Downs. Spectators for the horse races?
No. It's my understanding. I have not read the governor hasn't committed this to an executive order yet, but it's my understanding that racing would be permitted with no one in the stands at this point. The slots facility would operate under the guidelines and restrictions of the casinos.
Mr. Ronnie, you had said a couple of seconds ago about casinos could mandate players wear masks. So drinking and smoking through masks. How are we going to do that? Cocktail waitresses. How's that?
I need my cigars.
Yeah, Aaron likes a good cigar.
We talked about that last week, Robert. If a casino makes the business decision to require patrons to wear masks, they'll just have to take it off briefly to have, a sip of their cocktail or to smoke a cigarette, or they may require them to move out of the gaming area to do that. They can be more restrictive, but I've not been told by any casino at this point that they're going to require customers to wear masks. The employees have to wear masks, but the customers at this point, it's optional but encouraged.
I don't mean this in a bad way at all, because I can't imagine the position all these businesses are in. But to a great degree, kind of winging it, kind of open the doors and see what works, huh?
I don't think we're winging it on the gaming side. We've put out some pretty detailed guidelines, kind of a roadmap for opening. Now, what I do anticipate is that we're going to experience some problems along the way. The first challenge the casinos have is getting the governor to permit them to open. And they're not specifically mentioned in the federal plan for phase one. So he did that out of deference to the industry. The second challenge is they got to bring employees back. Some employees may not want to come back because of health reasons, the threat to their own health. Some may not want to come back because they're making more money with the employment supplement right now. And then the third challenge, they've got to get customers back. People have to be ready to do this. And if you look at the demographics of people who play slots, by and large, they're my age. They're an older generation. We are also a generation that's more vulnerable to the virus. So we don't know if they're going to come back right away. They may wait a while.
Am I going to wait a while to play poker in a poker room at a casino? Is that still a ways down the road because I touch the cards, we sit closer, etc.?
We believe you'll be able to play cards, but the poker rooms will not be open simply because of the difficulty in social spacing. But blackjack tables, there'll be fewer people there. Card tables, fewer people there. The craps table, rather than 16, you may have 6. So the social distancing has to be enforced on the gaming floor. That's a requirement.
Last one, Ronnie. I keep thinking of stuff. Can you draw me? Can you paint for me in my mind the schematic of a blackjack table?
Yeah, any plexiglass?
I'm not aware of any of the properties that are putting up plexiglass for blackjack at this time. They certainly can do it. That's something they'll have to submit to state police and have it approved. I do know that they're doing that in some tribal properties outside of Louisiana, and I do know that it's being considered. The part of the problem is the cost associated with that. Is this something they want to do and they're going to use it for 6 months and then not have a need for it anymore. So that's really a business decision at this point.
Ronnie Jones, Gaming Control Board
Awesome
Chairman.
stuff, Mr. Ronnie. Thank you as always.
Thank you,
Great
pal.
stuff.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Absolutely. Y'all have a good day.